Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
This is Business Roots on Talk Radio Europe with Mike McDowall and Simone Carlos.
Hello, I'm Mike McDowall.
And I'm Simone Carlos.
Welcome to Business Roots on Talk Radio Europe, the show which shines a spotlight on the remarkable stories of foreign business owners right here in Spain.
Whatever your business, this is the place for you.
Maybe you are a one-person powerhouse, or perhaps you lead a team of 100 people. No matter your situation, with the help of our guests and our experts, we are here to offer guidance to make your business thrive and hopefully lift a little bit of the burden off your shoulders and enrich your life.
Whether you are just starting out or an established entrepreneur, we want to help make your Spanish business a success.
So drop us a line, tell us all about yourself and your business, tell us your story, and let us know if you have a question about a particular aspect of starting or running a company in Spain, big or small. We are going to answer a few of those questions later on in the show. Send us an email. The address is simone@tre.radio. That's simone@tre.radio.
Right now, pour yourself a glass of something cold and join us for this first edition of Business Roots on Talk Radio Europe.
A little bit later in the program, I'll be talking to Tash Turner in Murcia.
Tash runs a marketing agency from her home in the hills, and she has good advice for anyone thinking of launching a new business in Spain.
Do your research. I didn't do enough. I didn't even think that siestas were really a thing anymore. I assumed that was old school Spain and everyone was just teasing me. So I actually did not realise. And when we pulled up into Murcia and everything's shut for summer and nobody's here as well, like there's a whole culture that you're not aware of. It is a beautiful culture and I love it, but it's total juxtaposition to what we're used to. I also would have probably put a bit more in the kitty for these, paying people to be able to apply for this and this and this on my behalf. We didn't quite realise that the Australian driver's licence doesn't swap over immediately or anything like that, and then have to do the test in Spanish. Like there's a lot of things that it's not the business stuff. It's the life admin is epic.
I will be chatting to Tash in part 2 of the show. Plus, as I mentioned just now, in part 3, we'll be answering a bunch of your questions about starting and running a business in Spain.
But first, a few days ago, Mike paid a visit to Darcy Khanukayev, who owns and runs the Darka Academy Language Center in Xàtiva, about 45 minutes south of Valencia.
Darcy moved to Spain from the United States 5 years ago. She spent her first couple of years here renovating a ruined building and turning it into her school. The result is beautiful, and she gave me a privileged behind-the-scenes look at her ancient premises and the business they house.
We are in the old part of Xàtiva, El Casco Antique, and I bought this really dilapidated, on the catastro it said a house in ruins. The walls were caved in. It was a mess, and it had been on the market for many years. So I came along, I saw the Gothic arch and the well, and a big giant, one of those old 1,000-year-old washing stones, and it's all in the courtyard. I'm from California. We don't have Gothic arches, and you don't have castles up on the hill. So for me, like if you're gonna move to a different country, make it your ultimate fantasy. Like I live in the foot of a castle. So we're in the courtyard, and I had mis amigos. They redid everything. They uncovered the arch and they brought out all the stone, so you can see all the stonework. They redid the well. They put in a new patio. The caves where I guess animals used to live 2,000 years ago, they're now where the kids can play. They're called Las Cuevas. Yeah, so it's a gorgeous space.
It is. It's absolutely beautiful, but it's not just a space for leisure. It's also for learning, because we are in the DACA Academy. So what is the DACA Academy?
DACA Academy is something that I created, and it's a little different because it's a community. It's a school based on community, on communication, on connecting people and cultures. So this space is like a home. It's a home. We have the kitchen where we do our scientific experiments and we do our cooking classes, all in English. The kids learn English, and the adults too, by doing things. So in order to do things, you can't have this sterile building. You have to have like this organic place. And I think this space inspires people to, one, feel at home and to explore other things, and they feel comfortable.
As you mentioned, you're from California. So how did you end up in Spain? What made you come to Spain? Inside, it's in me. When I went to college, I studied Spanish literature, the Spanish language. I saw the Man of La Mancha when I was a little teeny kid, and it just moved me so much. And then there was the Camino. I always wanted to do the Camino, and then all these things. And when I got to Spain, the first time after I graduated from the university, nobody asked me where I was from. They say I look like I'm from Andalusia. So I just feel like it was in me. I just have this connection with Spain, and that may be different for other people, but for me, it's like it was a natural extension of my life. And why start a language school? Because in California, I was a teacher. I was a Spanish and an English and a music teacher, and in the public schools and at the university. And I would always bring students from California to Spain for a month, an immersion experience. So when my kids got bigger, meaning they could live without me, I took the chance and I started teaching as an auxiliar in Algemesí for 2 years, getting to know the school system. And then I took the plunge, bought my little place here, and my little castillito, I call it, in Xàtiva, and started reforming it. But yeah, this is just actually another extension of exactly what I did in California. Just I'm the boss now, and I'm the creative director. Well, relocating is one thing. Building a business in another language, another country, another culture is another thing altogether, another system. Yeah. What has been the biggest surprise or shock that you've faced? Well, probably that I did it. I can't believe, I don't know what I was thinking, but it's done and it's good. I wanted to do it. In my heart, this is what I wanted to do. Spain has a problem with their language learning system in that they still teach grammar translation. So you just teach the grammar, and I say that's the bones. Of course you need your bones, but you need the skin, the blood system, everything else. So I'm actually trying to change, influence, expand how the Spaniards learn their language. They study English for years and they still can't speak it. The business part, I'd never had a business in California. So that's why it's crazy what I did. And I'm still learning as I'm going, and whatever. I still could work on my business. In Spain, once you get all the building and everything together, it's not that bad. But you do need to have connections because they're not real open to a newcomer until they get to know you. But I will say being a Californian has helped, because they're like, oh, California, it's like this magical word. And so that kind of has helped me, just being from California. That you've got to navigate bureaucracy, you've got to learn how local people do things. Yeah. What would you say was the hardest part? What was the toughest challenge that you've had to face? Well, ironically, the ones that have these big dreams to do things, they
get them done. And they have this kind of this ethic of just let's go, go, go. And you don't do that so much here. There's a flow, there's a pace, and it's not even predictable. There was times where I go to a funcionario, I need this paper. Well, we can't give you that paper until we have this paper. So I go over to there and they're closed, and then they da-da, ba-ba-ba-ba. I remember one point I'm like, okay, Spain, you win. I just yelled it on the street because I was so frustrated. And I was with a friend and he yelled with me. Then we had a beer and then you just go on. And then things work out. You just kind of have to not push. You just breathe. I would recommend do not push anything. Just keep asking, keep going, but don't push because they can push back harder, in my opinion.
Would you say that patience is the most important skill?
Patience, perseverance, breathing techniques. I mean, if you're on a spiritual path, these are the things that you're told to work on. But at the same time, there's always a door that opens. It's kind of strange. Like you don't think it's going to work. And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, come on in. I'll help you. Somebody always will help you. But it seems like they wait till you are at the that you've gone beyond your patience and you just like almost give up, at least in my experience. And then a door opens and life is great. Like, wow, this is cool. So that's why you just keep going. Just perseverance. Keep going. Believe in yourself.
Teaching people a language it's quite a personal thing. You know, it's quite intimate work. And I wondered if there's one story or one moment from your few years here at the school that stayed with you.
Like the little ones, in fact, just the other day, they're telling me they're doing their shows, end of the year shows, and one got 2 roles, a bigger double part because the teacher said, "Wow, you talk really good English. You speak good English, whatever." Anyways, she said, "Yeah, I go to Darka," and then the same thing happened with another student, and then the adults here, because we have this community, we work on communicating all your daily needs. And so they come back and they're all like, yeah, I did. I went to the bank. I talked to them all in Spanish. And you could just see that they're proud. And that means a lot to me because that is that's why you do language. You learn different languages for the communication, and it just opens up your world tremendously. And that makes me, like, on my deathbed, knowing that I help people expand their lives is like, okay, I did the best I could. I did good in this life.
Since moving to Spain, maybe your outlook was the same when you were in California, but I wondered if you, since setting up the business, if you have a different idea of the meaning of success.
Well, success to me has never been being rich with a lot of money. Not that I don't like that, but it's not in my value. My value systems are to connect with people, to inspire people, to live without fear, live like, this is I don't even believe in politics. You have your own power, and by being able to, I know it seems a little abstract, but learning a language gives you the power to express yourself, to create your reality. And so my success is just being able to help people, and attracting teachers that have that same mentality, and just growing from there in a real organic way. So success is being how well am I communicating and helping people to be able to be more empowered themselves.
With the benefit of hindsight, which is a precise science, of course, is there anything that you'd do differently?
Oh, gosh. Well, I opened the academy and the building wasn't quite finished yet. The outside looked horrible. It was very, very stressful. But we all got through it. I just think if you are moved and inspired to do something like this, just do it. You just got to jump with everything. When I was in high school, I was a cross-country runner. And we'd have these 3-mile races. And I grew up in the desert, and there was this one ravine. As you're coming down the hill, if you jump over this ravine, the course is actually shorter, so it gives you an edge on winning, right? So as you're running down this hill and you're preparing in your mind, you got to jump over it. And if you doubt, you're going to fall in the ravine. So this is kind of like just, if you're inspired, do the jump. If not, then go sit back on the porch, right?
You know, there are people out there listening who dream of doing what you have done. And I wondered, I mean, it sounds like you've just given us it, but what advice would you give somebody thinking about moving to Spain to start a business?
Well, I could not have done it if I wasn't inherently inspired. This is what I needed to do in order to feel like there's things in life, if you don't do them, you know that you're on your deathbed, you'd be like, dang, you know, I really should have done this or tried that. And if you are inspired, you will make it. And then it's a great adventure. Just, you go in it as an adventure, and then it's everything's good, right?
And that was Darcy Khanukayev at the Dhaka Academy Language Center in Xàtiva. And if you live in the La Costera district of the province of Valencia and you or a member of your family is keen to learn either English or Spanish, then do get in touch with Dhaka Academy in Xàtiva. It is spelled Darkha. And the website is darkha.es. Many thanks to Darcy for telling us her story and sharing her experience.
You're listening to Business Roots on Talk Radio Europe, and we want to hear from you. Please drop us a line, tell us your story, ask for advice, make suggestions. The address is simone@tre.radio.
In part 2, we're off to Murcia and the little village in the hills where Australian expat Tash Turner has established an international marketing agency. Stay with us.
This is Business Roots on Talk Radio Europe, making sense of business in Spain. This is Business Roots on Talk Radio Europe with Mike McDowall and Simone Carlos.
Welcome back to Business Roots on Talk Radio Europe. I'm Simone Carlos.
And I'm Mike McDowall. And this is the show which shines a spotlight on the remarkable stories of foreign business owners right here in Spain.
Whether you are just starting out or an established entrepreneur, we want to help make your Spanish business a success.
So drop us a line, tell us all about yourself and your enterprise, big or small. Seriously, whether you rent out multi-million euro private jets or you coach football or you sell hot dogs, doesn't matter. We want to hear from you. We're interested in sole traders as much as we are in businesses with hundreds of employees. So drop us a line, come on the show, tell us your story. The whole point of Business Roots is that your experience and the lessons that you have learned along the way will help other expat business owners to either improve their existing businesses and improve their lives, or it will help them get their new idea off the ground, because we're all in this together. Conversely, let us know if you have a question about a particular aspect of starting or running a company in Spain. Either Simone or one of our featured business owners or one of our guest experts will have the answer to your question.
Send us an email. The address is simone@tre.radio. That's simone@tre.radio. Earlier we heard from Darcy in Xàtiva. Mike, where are we off to next?
We are heading to Murcia, where a transplanted Australian fell in love with a village in the hills and chose it as the location for her international marketing agency.
My name is Tash Turner. I live in Murcia in southern Spain. I run a marketing agency and it's called Turner & Co.
And when did you move to Spain?
June last year. I fell in love with this little town here called Archena. So we're not on the coast like everyone else seems to be. We're definitely in the hills.
Where did you move from?
We moved from Australia, so couldn't get further away if you tried. We moved from Perth, Australia, which is actually the most isolated city in the world. After being there for 10 years, which is probably the reason why we got the itch to just pack up and leave and try a different country out so that we can get lots of travelling done.
And what made you choose Spain over an English-speaking country?
I have no idea. Since I was a kid, with my grandmother, we used to always say mañana, mañana. So I think it started there. When I met my husband 20 years ago now, I told him we couldn't date because I was going to move to Spain. And then, 19 years later, I moved to Spain. So it was just always there. I did 11 years of Duolingo. It taught me nothing. So that was a waste of time. And that's what I hear a lot from expats is like they started with Duolingo and they learned very quickly that that's not it.
What is your standard of Spanish now?
When we first moved here, we were doing 4 hours a day of Spanish. But my business is pretty busy now. I don't have 4 hours a day to keep going. And essentially the Spanish that we get to do is very transactional. So we're going to buy something or we're going to eat somewhere. So, I can say pueda pagar and all that sort of stuff, but I can definitely understand it much better than I can speak it. And I think there's also that confidence level. I hold back rather than just immediately saying what comes to mind. And then I'll walk away and I'll go, oh, I knew that one. So I don't want to be the expat that just speaks English at Spanish people. I never want to be that. So I'm going to keep trying till it breaks me.
I should say I have 2 daughters. My daughters are both fluent speakers of Valenciano and Castellano, so I'm letting the side down. I do speak Spanish actually, but I when Spanish people ask me, I always say, "Oh, estoy aprendiendo poco a poco." So Tash, what's your professional background?
So I have 20 years in a plus now. I hate saying that because old, in marketing communications. I started basically in food and wine PR, which is a horrible place to start because it's all downhill from there. And, because you don't get free food and wine anymore if you're not doing food and wine comms.
Okay.
But I went back and did a psychology degree and realised very quickly that I didn't want to hear other people's problems, but I really wanted to start learning how to communicate to people better through my copywriting, through email campaigns and marketing campaigns, essentially. And so I went back into marketing and I now run my own business. My specialty is brand voices and communications and change management communications because there's a psychological angle to that as well. But mainly what we do is we work with marketing agencies as their copywriting angle. So we take care of all of every piece of comms that they need and they get all the glory and we just do the work because that's how I'd prefer to do it.
And it was always your plan to work while you're in Spain. You've transported your life.
We sold up our entire home in Australia. The story goes that my next door neighbour was selling for double the amount that he purchased his apartment for. And I said, well, if he sells, then we're selling and moving to Spain. He sold in 2 weeks and we sold in 3 weeks. And we doubled. So we used all of that because we've got 2 dogs as well. Moved everything across here. We bought an apartment here in Murcia. We literally packed up everything. There's just my grandmother's stuff and some artwork in Australia left. So we live by the motto, burn the boats. Make sure you don't have a life raft. Give it a crack and then, see where you're at. But I literally started up my business to to be able to do this.
Wow. And when you land, this is a very personal question, and by all means tell me to get lost, but when you arrived, you just sold your apartment for double the money. So you had a financial cushion you had money in the bank.
It's gone.
Yeah, sure.
And 300, it was around about 300,000 Australian. 300,000 Australian is 150,000 euros. So, like, the exchange rate is not helpful at all.
Yeah. Can I ask, your clients, are any of them in Spain?
No. Now, that was one of the challenges. Networking has been a little bit difficult. As you can imagine, I don't really speak the language. It's not like I can just rock up to anything. There are, as you would know, there's a lot of expat forums. I was doing all right with creating connections. I'm actually working, I lie. I am working with one gentleman, but he's British that lives in Valencia, so I don't count that, but that's the only way I would be able to proceed with a business relationship is if they're English speaking at this stage, because I don't have enough.
And I suppose if you're doing brand voice, I mean, the word voice gives it away, doesn't it? I mean, unless you would have to be an extraordinarily good speaker of Spanish in order to create a brand voice for a Spanish company.
Yeah, 100%, but they also have such a cultural difference. Even talking, let's say you got a restaurant contract, they have a whole different culture around how to eat, how to communicate with each other, the slowness and all that sort of stuff in comparison with how my brain sees a restaurant culture. Do you know what I mean? So it just would be very complex. So yes, it's all English speaking clients. I'm coming to VDS, which is the Valencia tech conference that happens every year. So I come to that, I meet with as many people. They all speak English at these conferences. So that's how I try and make the connections. But it just takes time. And you've got to show them that you're not the person that's just coming in and then leaving.
Setting up your, obviously the mechanisms of your business are in Spain. And did you find it, was it a piece of cake? Was it an absolute grind? Have you found it difficult?
Paperwork. Just paperwork.
Yeah, so the red tape, you found it a bit of a slog.
I think it would be a lot easier if I did speak a lot more Spanish. So I'm only a year in, so we end up paying rather than doing it ourselves, because we'll try for 50 hours and then realise how much time we've just wasted.
So a gestor, you have a gestor or a gestora.
So setting up my autonomo, I did that when I moved over immediately. So I contracted a company. I think we paid 3,500 Australian, so 15 euros or 1 something euros, and they set it all up for me. They told me what documents needed to be apostilled. They told me everything I needed. So I was happy to pay that up front just to make sure it got done before we even hit the shore type thing. But then I've got a bookkeeper as well now. She's on retainer, so she messages me to make sure that I've put in all my statements and everything. And then I've got a hair store who takes care of, making sure I'm on the right platforms and that I've registered people in the right places or I've done the right things. So yes, I do. I've got a team.
Is there anything related to the day-to-day running of your business that you actually dread? Or, with your team, do you find that it all goes pretty smoothly?
Day-to-day, the thing I think that frustrates me the most is that I do work with Australian businesses. I love them passionately, but means I'm getting up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. sometimes. I got up at 3 the other week for a strategy session that lasted 3 hours. And I do not complain because I chose the life, right? But it's just, there is a big time difference. And then I'm currently working with people in the US and Canada. So then I have this little break in between, and then I've got the afternoon working as well. So I'm hitting it at both ends. So what I'm missing is that Spanish slowdown, which is partially the reason people come here, which is to enjoy almuerzo or, get to know my neighbours a little bit more. But I am still building my business. I'm very new.
Yeah.
Any clients need help in Europe, come to me.
What sort of clients do you work with?
And now I'd love to narrow this down, and everyone always says you should find your niche or niche or however you want to pronounce it. But I work in healthcare, mainly like women's healthcare. I work in femtech. My husband does the sports tech side of things. He's in my business. He also takes care of government agencies and communications around that and media strategies. But I also have a new marine port that is on my roster, and an engineering company.
Americans say, they pronounce it niches, don't they? And they say the riches are in the niches. However, it sounds like diversification is working for you. So, whatever works, I guess. Do you find that Spain is a country which favors entrepreneurs? Or is this a difficult country in which to start a business? So
that's very interesting. So I do see things like Startup Valencia and all these other programs that are really trying to push the entrepreneurial agenda, but I think they're a bit 10 years behind, especially tech industries and all that sort of stuff. And I think they're getting there now, and that's where they're starting to invest money in. Like, they've got the digitization program where if you don't have a website, they'll pay someone to build their website for them. The government, there seems to be a lot of initiatives flying around at the moment. I'm not sure how well coordinated they are, but they are trying to get there. And unfortunately, it's just such a steep learning curve for everyone.
I wonder, let's say you set up a sandwich shop and you're doing sandwich delivery and you've got to pay your autonomo. And I know you get a discount for the first 6 months and then you get another, lesser discount for the second 6 months. But in the first couple of years, you're still paying out a big chunk of money out of your earnings every month. And then you've got to put a Hestor on retainer. By the time you add it all up, it's probably $1,000 a month, right? Out of your monthly takings. And if you're like a 1 or 2 person sandwich delivery service, like I say, or a little cafe or something, that's a lot of money in the first couple of years of your existence as a business. That's a lot of money to lose, right?
And I think that's why a lot of people explore the opportunities in Malta or something else rather than in Spain to start with.
Yeah.
But in saying that, the Spanish life is so awesome on the other side.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's a wonderful place to live, and I love living in Spain, and I'm not complaining at all. I was just posing the question, is there one piece of advice that you would give to somebody thinking of setting up a business in Spain? Something that you've learned in the past 12 months?
Do your research. I didn't do enough. I didn't even think that siestas were really a thing anymore. I assumed that was old school Spain and everyone was just teasing me. So I actually did not realise. And when we pulled up into Murcia and everything's shut for summer and nobody's here as well, like there's a whole culture that you're not aware of about, you don't understand. It is a beautiful culture and I love it, but it's total juxtaposition to what we're used to. I also would have probably put a bit more in the kitty for these, paying people to be able to apply for this and this and this on my behalf. We didn't quite realise that the Australian driver's licence doesn't swap over immediately or anything like that, and then have to do the test in Spanish. There's a lot of things that it's not the business stuff, it's the life admin is epic.
And that was Tash Turner talking to Mike from her home in the hills around Murcia.
Yeah, many thanks to Tash for taking the time to talk to me. And if your business needs a marketing strategy, drop Tash a line. You'll find her at Turner & Co. The website's actually turner&.co. Or you can just Google Tash and Guy Turner Marketing and you'll find them at the top of the search results and also on LinkedIn.
Don't forget to send us an email. The address is simone@tre.radio. That's simone@tre.radio.
Yes, do drop us a line. The idea behind Business Roots is that we are forming a community of expat business owners. We're going to form that community around the program. So we are really keen to hear from you and we'd like to feature you on the show. So send us an email, tell us about your business, tell us your story, and especially get in touch if you have experience which you think will be of particular interest and use to other expat business owners in Spain.
We are going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be answering a whole bunch of questions about running a business in Spain. Stay with us.
This is Business Roots on Talk Radio Europe. Spanish Business Decoded. This is Business Roots on Talk Radio Europe with Mike McDowall and Simone Carlos.
Welcome back to Business Roots on Talk Radio Europe. I'm Mike McDowall.
And I'm Simone Carlos.
We are shining a spotlight on the remarkable stories of foreign business owners right here in Spain.
Whether you're just starting out or you're already established, we want to help make your Spanish business a success.
So drop us a line, tell us all about yourself and your enterprise, tell us your story, let us know if you have a question about a particular aspect of running a business in Spain, big or small. And like I said earlier in the show, we are just as interested in sole traders as we are in multi-million euro companies with dozens of staff.
Send us an email. The address is simone@tre.radio. That's simone@tre.radio.
As promised, in this part of the program, we are going to answer a few questions. This is our first show, so we are only just for the very first time giving out the email address. So the questions this week are from expat business owners that we contacted, and we asked them to submit questions and comments. And we're going to start with Floyd from Barcelona, and he says, I'm planning to open a small business in Spain. Should I register as autónomo or set up an SL? What are the real costs and the tax differences? And I should say, in case any listeners are unaware of this, that an SL is a Sociedad Limitada, and it's the Spanish equivalent of a limited company, and autónomo is freelance or self-employed.
This depends mainly on your expected income. As an autonomo, you'll pay around 60 euros per month social security contributions in your first year. You'll pay 150 per month in your second year. And after that, autonomous pay on average 294 euros per month. It depends on your income.
Setting up an SL costs between 500 and 750 euros, typically for registration. Annual accounting costs will be between 1,500 and 3,000 euros. You only need €1 a share capital. That's a change in the law, although they recommend 3,000 euros. We're going to explain that in more detail in a later show. In fact, we'll get an expert to come in and explain it to us. Forming an SL protects your personal assets, and despite the extra costs, is definitely more tax efficient once you are earning over, say, 50,000 annually, and especially if you reach that level of revenue quickly, because there's tax relief you get a huge discount on your tax bill in your first 2 profitable years.
Most people begin as autónomo for simplicity and then later switch to SL, Sociedad Limitada, as they grow.
Okay, great. Next question. This one comes from Mandy in Torrevieja. She says, how do I find a reliable gestor who understands both Spanish tax law and the needs of foreign business owners?
The best thing to do is ask for recommendations from other foreign business owners in your area. Expat networking events are gold mines for this. And I will say now, watch this space, or rather listen to this show, because networking events are something we have in mind for the future. Be sure to look for a gestor who speaks excellent English, who responds quickly to emails and is willing to take the time to explain things.
I had a terrible experience with my first gestor.
And you're not alone in this situation.
No, I'm not. And I would recommend speaking to 2 or 3 gestors or gestorías before you make a choice. Ask about their experience with foreign clients. Be sure to clarify their fees up front. expect to pay between 60 and 150 euros per month for basic autonomous services and more if you form an SL.
That's great advice, Mike.
Okay, this next question has been submitted anonymously, and it says, I have found the perfect place for my restaurant, but the owner is asking for a significant traspasso fee. How do I know if it's fair, and what should I be looking for in the contract? And I should say a traspasso is a business, a lease. It's a lease on a business premises.
Traspasso fees vary wildly, from 10,000 to 100,000 euros or even more, depending on the business, the location, existing clientele, and what equipment is included. Get everything itemized. Make sure you know exactly what equipment will be left behind and what condition it is in. Also, whether there's existing goodwill and clientele, and you must be absolutely crystal clear about the lease terms.
Traspasso fees actually vary so much that we cannot give a precise and specific answer here. What I will say is this: it's absolutely crucial that you hire a lawyer to review the contract. Check that all of the licenses are transferable into your name, inspect all the equipment thoroughly, and verify the remaining lease duration. And absolutely negotiate the fee. Traspasso fees are often inflated. Consider what it would cost to fit out an empty premises from scratch and maybe use that as your comparison point. Okay, Roy in Granada asks, what are the essential licenses and permits that I need before opening? I'm worried about missing something obvious and getting fined.
Roy, we are very pleased to hear from you. However, you have not mentioned what type of business you're in. Licenses vary by business type and municipality, but typically you'll need your business registration, autonomo or SL. You will also need an opening license, which is the Licencia de Apertura from your local authority. Plus, you will need any industry-specific permits. For example, food handling for restaurants, health permits for salons, etc.
Your HESTOR should guide you through this, but don't assume that a HESTOR will catch everything. So ask specifically for the official guidelines for your business type. Typically, you need to allow 2 or 3 months for licensing, sometimes a bit longer. The fines for operating without proper licenses can be horrendous. So please make sure you have all of your ducks in a row. Okay, next question. And Sam says, I am overwhelmed by social media. Which platforms should I focus on for a small business, and how much time should I spend?
Focus on 1 or 2 of the platforms where your customers hang out mostly. Most businesses in Spain concentrate on Instagram for visual business like restaurants, retail, beauty products. They use LinkedIn for business-to-business services. And they may use Facebook for reaching local community groups and older people.
Spend about a half an hour a day, or create your posts in batches once a week. To be honest, surveys show that consistency matters more than quantity. So 2 or 3 quality posts every week beats just posting random low-effort videos and photos. For those of you making social media posts in advance, there are lots of free scheduling tools like Meta Business Suite, which will help you plan ahead. And remember, social media should drive sales and bookings. It doesn't matter how many likes you get if that doesn't translate into revenue. Keep an eye on what actually brings in the customers. If social media isn't making you any more money, then you know what? Don't bother with it. Don't do it at all. Okay, Sarah says, should I have separate bank accounts for business and personal, even as an autonomo?
That's a great question. The short answer is absolutely yes. Even though it's not legally required, all business income and expenses should go through this separate account.
Here's a good question. No name given, but this person is based in Soto Grande. Simone, what are the biggest mistakes that you see foreign business owners making in Spain?
There are several common ones. Let's look at the top 4. 1. underestimating the total cost of Social Security and taxes. You must budget at least 40% of income for taxes and contributions. 2, not learning enough Spanish. You will struggle with suppliers, local authority, red tape, and also local customers if you cannot communicate. Number 3, cutting corners on legal advice up front and then paying far more to fix problems later. And 4, not spending enough time building relationships. Spanish business culture values personal connections very highly. Face-to-face meetings carry a great deal more weight than emails.
Don't forget to write in simone@tre.business and we'll answer a bunch more of your questions next Monday. Also next week, we'll hear from Georgia Kitson in Tarragona. Georgia and her husband Jack have been living off-grid in Spain for a few years now. They're off-grid with 2 kids. And Georgia, she calls herself a freedom coach. In fact, what she actually does is help people figure out the practical steps that they need to take to escape the 9-to-5 and build their dream life as a business owner. She takes you through it step by step. She'll help you develop the mindset and a plan, an actual actionable plan to get you to Spain in the first place and then get your business off the ground. Sometimes that means turning your side hustle into a full-time gig, or it might mean launching a fully fledged business from scratch. And Georgia, she is good at what she does.
I would definitely say to try and have mentorship or help, because when I started, I just kind of threw myself in the deep end and I've learned a lot over those years. But if I'd have just, started off with some help and some mentorship, I would have got to places a lot quicker. Don't just try and find another job. You want to try and create an income that really sets your soul on fire and really, lights you up every day. That it doesn't feel like work. So I'd always say, just, sit down and get to know yourself again. What lights you up? What do you love? What do people naturally come and talk to you about day to day? What are you known for? And look at your passions, your skills, your expertise, and look then at different online business models that you could kind of package up this knowledge and passion and skills and turn it into a profitable online business. So I have a lady who creates AI artwork. I've helped her set up. I mean, she loves it. She calls it creative writing. So she'll put her idea into an AI image generator and it'll produce this, really beautiful artwork. She's also doing cards now as well. And we've managed to turn her passion, she's doing thousands of these images. She really loves it, but we're turning her passion into an online business now. So we've set up an Etsy shop. We're looking at distributors all around the world who will sell her cards. We're looking at Airbnb properties where she'll feature her artworks and stuff like this. Whatever skills or whatever passions, there is ways that you can package this up and turn it into an online business. So you don't just want to create a business that just pays your bills. Really try and create something that you love and it doesn't feel like work. And I think that's all about my ethos. I call myself a freedom lifestyle coach because I just want people to feel free. I don't want people to feel trapped in the rat race, trapped in a job they don't enjoy, trapped paying bills. I feel we've been given this one chance at life, and we don't want to be spending our days doing things we don't enjoy.
You can hear the full interview with Georgia Kitson next week here on Business Roots. Plus, it won't just be me tackling your questions about running a business. Mike and I will be joined by one of our new resident experts.
Before we go, I would like to say a big hello to my pal Eugene Costello, who is in hospital in Valencia following a kidney transplant first thing on Saturday morning. Eugene, I'll see you tomorrow. And we'll join you listening at home for a new edition of the program next Monday at 7. See you then. Say goodbye, Simone.
Goodbye, Simone.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this program, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels, and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit TRE.radio.